everyone, I'm Liz Hunt.
And I'm Chelsea Poppens.
And this is the Agency Rocket Show, where we talk about the chaos of running a creative agency. So today we have some super special guests. You guys should be so excited. We have one of my very good friends, Kemerling, and her business partner, Heidi Mausbach, on the show with us today. And they are the owners and just all around bosses of a company called Two Hawks. And today we're going to learn about their company. We're going to learn about how they started the business, how just their story all around it. And I'm super excited to have them on the show. So say hi, guys.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Liz and Chelsea, thanks so much for having us. We're really excited to be having a conversation with you all today.
Well, to get the ball rolling, let's have you guys talk about a little bit about your background before we get to Two Hawks and where we're at now. Talk about what you've done in the past, what brought you to where we're at today. And do you want to take it away, Katie, first?
Sure, happy to. Well, I have been doing advertising, marketing, creative strategy work for more than 20 years now, which is wild.
Yes, queen. That's awesome.
And I absolutely love it. And I've had the chance to work at a larger agency. I've worked within a really small boutique agency that was really hyper-focused on one industry, and then spent the majority of my career at a mid-sized agency. And the cool part about those experiences were that the days were never the same. And we always got to solve really interesting problems that really, I think, bridged my skill set in kind of business strategy and creative strategy. And I loved the fast-paced nature of the work. And so that has just kept me coming back for more. And so I have had the chance to do a lot of different types of projects in different industries and with different seats at the table. So I have been on the creative side. I have been on the account services side. I've been on the marketing and planning side of the business. And so those different perspectives, I think, have really well positioned me for what my last role was of just executive leader of a team, and now coming into the entrepreneurship era of Two Hawks. It's just been so much fun figuring out how to solve problems in new ways with new constraints and with all the new technology, right? The blessings and the challenges that come alongside those. So that's really my business background. And it's been wild how fast the time's gone by.
For sure.
What about you, Heidi?
For me, I spent over 2 decades on the advertising agency side. So I started as an account assistant and worked my way up to president and CEO of a mid-sized agency, and really loved the opportunity to partner with Katie and to be the executive duo running the show. And so just worked in a variety of industries with a variety of clients, and did a lot of opportunity for ourselves to try different things with clients and to just create a really great workplace for our employees. And so that's been really exciting. And for me, I love personality profiles. I've taken a ton and always end up in the relational and social side. That's my quadrant I live in. And so really spent all of my time on the client service side. So serving clients, solving their problems. And then outside of the agency, had the opportunity to travel around the country and consult with CEO groups on retaining and attracting talent and employer branding. So that was another highlight and an exciting point within my career that I really enjoyed over the years.
What? Heidi, I did not know that about you. Tell me more. Was that while you were at Irvin and Smith, you were doing that?
So I was in a CEO group, and obviously a big thing is talent retention and attraction.
Yes.
And
don't we all know?
Mentioned the term employer branding, and a lot of people hadn't heard of it, which Katie and I kind of take for granted. Doesn't everyone know that? But it's one of those that when you're in the industry, it's kind of this is what you do. But so had the opportunity then to just go around and meet with different CEO groups and teach them and train them on employer branding.
I have never heard of that. So what is it? Do you help employers obviously brand their business to recruit talent? Is that the crux of it?
Yeah. So just like the brand we're doing, you're focusing on what's the value prop to your consumers. And on the employer brand side, it's really what's your value prop to your employees, which is different than what it's aligned and it needs to work together, but why people work for you and how you deliver on your values and the behaviors that you operate on straight are really important to keeping and retaining talent.
Interesting. What were some of the best employer brand strategies that you saw? Just high level, obviously, that you helped work with.
In terms of who we've done stuff with, well, Katie and I with Two Hawks, we've worked with a couple clients on helping them from a retention and acquisition strategies. So helping them employer brand and really refining their messages beyond we're a great place to work and we value our employees. And so working with them on a series of different workshops and exercises to really get at what makes them unique.
Interesting.
And I think one of the strategic recommendations that we make, this has to be cross-functional leaders around a table, right? This isn't a marketing team only initiative, right? We need to bring in HR. We need to bring in other individuals where this is going to be lived, promoted, and a continuous conversation. Right. This isn't the, hey, we've launched and now it's posters on a wall or whatever you might think about that. And so I think when we're looking for a strategic alignment for clients who want to engage in successful employer brand or making sure that they're attracting top talent, retaining top talent, it really does become who should we have around this table that will be able to influence and really deploy effectively. And you have to have buy-in. You have to have perspective because you need those people that are able to see things through their lens and from a different point of view. That's key. And I think that also just goes to what Heidi was saying earlier. We've worked together for more than 16 years.
That's amazing.
So when you talk about needing different perspectives and you want to make sure that you're looking for your blind spots and being able to really utilize your strengths, I think that's really, really important with any project, employer branding, marketing strategy, whatever, brand building. You need to know where you might need some additional perspective in order for any project to be successful.
Right.
So I think it's, go ahead. I was just going to say, I think it's something else that makes us unique is just when you bring different perspectives to the table, such as Katie's saying, it's everything from sales to HR to all the different lines of business within a company. That really has created a strategic advantage for us because we can see across the entire value stream. So we understand what's important to the different visions and different functions of a business, and brand and marketing being so intertwined and needing to collaborate and co-create. It's just a skill then that we're able to bring those different leaders and stakeholders together.
That makes a lot of sense because when you think about an organization, it really is meant to function as a unified piece. But a lot of times what we see in organizations is that the different departments are very siloed. That doesn't have any idea what this group is doing, and sales doesn't know what HR is doing, even though sales needs what HR is doing because sales needs more team members. And a lot of times people get super siloed in their departments and stuff, but it really is meant to be functioning as a unified kind of group. So I love that.
Absolutely.
I find that super interesting because when Well, my question's going to be when we do branding, or we have, I guess branding is the best example I can think of, when we bring multiple voices into one room, sitting around a table, you can have a lot of conflicting perspectives. So does it always go smoothly when you bring all those voices into one space and you're listening to them? How do you navigate all those voices in your position? And since they're all coming from different perspectives, and I'm sure they don't always see the other side.
It always goes smoothly, Chelsea. So 100% of the time.
There's never an alternative agenda on anybody's mind ever.
I think that's one thing that Heidi is really, really skilled at, honestly, is she is really, really tuned in to not only what people are saying, but the energy of what's being felt and projected in the room, the vibes. And so if it's like, I hear you or I don't hear you, you've been really quiet, but I can tell that you don't agree. You know, she's really good at calling people up to participate. And so I think that's one of her really, really strong superpowers. And I think that's why those facilitations and those collaborative team table meetings have been as successful as they have been. But no, Chelsea, your suspicions are correct. A lot of times, right, there are other opportunities that come out of these conversations. So what we try to do is remind people what we're here to focus on, and also use the core brand as our guideposts. Got to come back. Does this serve what we said to be the things we value? Is this how we promised our employees that we'd show up? So we do have something to come back to that was created, right? That wasn't being developed right now. But I think that is the challenge and the opportunity. How can we see different perspectives and be able to synthesize that into a plan, a strategy, kind of a core focus that everybody can rally behind? And sometimes you got to give and take. But I think that's one of the most fun things that we do, is design out these interactive sessions that allow for everybody's voices and perspectives to be heard, and then create safe space for those conversations to be had, because we want everybody to say at the end of the day, I can at bare minimum live with this and I'm behind it. And if everybody else on my leadership team is excited about it, you know what, I am too. And so that's always our goal. It's not always easy, but it's also not just our work, it's the work of the clients. And when we are partnering with clients that are growth minded like us, we feel like that's when we always get the best outcomes, because they want to grow and learn and push themselves as well. And knowing maybe where they were or what they were doing, has it gotten them to where they want to be with all the future considerations at hand?
You guys sound like you would make great therapists. And I'll have to talk to you guys later.
Come on over. Maybe we need to make another, it sounds like maybe another podcast might be in its infancy. You might have created a whole nother one for us to think about there.
Brand therapy.
I could see people coming on it and being like, I feel heard.
That would, you know what? That's amazing. That is such a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah,
that is great.
The thing that's so interesting is like the two things that you're saying, Katie, how Heidi has been able to recognize people and feel the vibes in the room. I'm pretty sure that Heidi has done that with me and Chelsea in situations, and how you're able to communicate well with people to get everyone unified. I'm pretty sure I've seen you do that on some of the projects that we've done. And so it's interesting to hear you essentially label and talk about the things that we've actually just been seeing you guys do already. It's really cool to just see the experts all at work. It's cool. I love it.
That's a great point, Liz, because I'm reflecting on some of our conversations in the past with other clients, and it's true. You guys do a great job of, let's say, our clients not really saying anything. You guys do a great job of expressing your opinion,
I don't
but
know
also
who you're talking about, Chelsea.
I didn't name drop or anything, but you guys do a great job of pulling it out of them and leaning into both sides too. You're a great mediator, be that tertiary voice in a room. So you guys do
awesome.
a fabulous job.
I think it's what makes us a great a great team too.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Katie and I have such complementary skills. And so I may be able to do that. I'm also like, focus, move us forward, simplify this. And Katie really brings that conceptual magic to everything. So thankful for the skills that she really excels at. So it's been a great partnership.
I love it. So 16 years. How often do you guys fight? Or what do you do when you fight?
Liz and I will tell. We have Battle Royale.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what you said? You're like, is it on the calendar?
Battle Royale.
Here we go.
Fight to the death.
That's really funny. I'm trying to think.
We had our challenges early in our career.
Yeah.
I would call us more a merry work couple because I feel like I know you so well that I don't feel like we have major throwdowns.
Or
I feel like it's why we started a partnership that I'm like, I know I can work with you and that I feel like we just get it off our chest and deal with it in the moment and address things. But you might have a different take.
No, I do not. I don't have a different take.
To see things rose colored. So
well, we do share an optimistic outlook.
Yeah, you guys are very positive people.
That is one thing that we do share. I'd say that's the thing that I do really appreciate is that we can be like, hey, this isn't feeling good. Or, hey, I said this and I don't know if it came across the way I was intending. So I have to tend to circle back. And Heidi knows that about me. And we also know each other's kind of stressors and the known behaviors that follow some of those stressors, right? So we can remind each other like, hey, we're right where we are supposed to be. This happens when we are doing X, Y, and Z. And it's usually when we've really hit that growth edge, right? And we are doing something new and we're learning, hey, we know this well and we are going to get through this because we have and we know how to solve problems and how to support one another. And so I think that is magic. And I think to Heidi's point, if I didn't feel like I could be authentically me, bring all my strengths to the table, and then the flip side of those, some of those shadow moments that I'm continuously working on. And I just don't think that would have been the right thing to do. But I know that she's going to push me to be better. And it's always with a shared vision of what we want the future to be, right? Like we are both in lockstep of what we're wanting to do, how we envision our future, what we want with our lives. And that feels like that's the thing that we can keep coming back to, which is just so grounding and so energizing.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, I'm curious to hear from the two of you. How are you navigating? Because you have a newer partnership. So we are 16 years in the making. We've had a lot of opportunity to work on and through things in the past. What are you finding in partnership that are those moments that are the most challenging right now?
You want me to go? That's what that silence was. One of the biggest things that I've learned is that when one of us is escalated emotionally, the other brings us back down. So we do like kind of mediate each other. So if I'm super stressed about something, Liz will automatically try to think of the flip side of what that could be because we say we both can't be mad at the same time.
Totally.
That's a good one. That's good.
And so in order for one of us has to think reasonably if another person is angry. So we do a great job of finding that balance so that we're not attacking anything and we're thinking reasonably with every decision.
That's huge.
Yeah,
that is good.
And another thing that we are both Chelsea and I are both really good at is just saying sorry and just like do it quickly and do it right away. And then the other person I think we're also both really good at is responsible to just forgive it and then move on. I think that holding on to it is like, that's not going to help the relationship. It's only going to keep us from building a better business and building a better relationship. And it's only going to hurt us, hurt yourself and the other person, and then everything that you're trying to build. And so just apologize quickly, and then say you're sorry, forgive, and then just move on. Let it go. And go ahead.
I was going to say the other piece of it and the dynamic of it is I'm putting my friend hat on versus I'm putting my business partner hat on.
Yeah.
And having conversations from that.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to you as coming from a friend, or I'm speaking to you as your partner in business situation, because you do have to see the friendship and the business side, and those kind of have to be separated in order to run from a functional standpoint.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
There have been times too that both of us have done this, and I've really appreciated it, where it's like I'll be pissed off at her about something, or she'll be pissed off at me about something. And It's like, before we engage with the other person about it, we'll step away and take a breath. And it might even be like, we take a breath for like a week. We don't come back to the situation and have a discussion about it until we can manage ourselves and manage our emotions and just like get ourselves under control about it.
And so articulate it the way that we want it to be received.
So that we can have a mature, good, healthy conversation about it and not active. And I think that is helpful. That's how I fight anyway, like in my marriage. And I just like believe in that, of like, trying not to fight when you were like, up here, because that's when the fighting can be really, really hurtful. That's when it's like, could be really damaging to the relationship. And it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a step back and wait until I can get this under wraps. And then let's come back to this when I can actually have a conversation that is productive. And so then I try to do that with Chelsea too. So
that's so great. I think that's just like a good example of emotional intelligence too. Yeah. And I think one of the things that Heidi and I have been really working on, I would say, what do you think, Heidi, the last 7 to 9 years, like went on this journey of really starting to figure out, like, what do we believe? What do we want? What are the ways that we tend to get escalated? How do we tend to perceive our social environments and things? And so really digging into those things and having the time and space to really know what that looks like and be very honest and open, I think is a game changer, because you're right. It transcends business partnership. That's just the way that you show up in life. And I think that's really, really important.
And I think the more skilled we are and aware of, we were saying, our triggers or our common language is like, you're doing it again. And we're like, I'm trying not to do that. Remember? And so, but I think when you're self-aware of that, it is easier to come back and take accountability first before it even escalates. Because you're like, well, I felt that again. I probably feel it. You probably just know it, Katie. And so
for sure,
it's coming back to that.
There's this thing that I do that Chelsea so kindly let me know that I do. And it happened recently, where anytime I leave town, I'll go on vacation or anything like that, I always come back to the office. Anytime I come back stressed out, in a panic, and I'm like, what is going on? Tell me everything. I don't know what's happening. And I'm like, Chelsea, give me everything right now. I need to know what's going on. And I just like freak out until I'm like, know exactly what's happening. And of course, I came back recently from a trip and I was doing that. And Chelsea texted me and was like, hey, you're panicking. And I was like, you're right. I am. And it's because I just don't know what's going on. And I was like, as soon as I understand what's happening, as soon as I know what all of our deadlines are and all what's happening, then I'll be fine. I'll be able to take a breath. And Chelsea was like, I'll just send you an email with everything. And I was like, no, that's not going to work in my head. I didn't say that to her. But then she did. And I was like, oh, yeah, I feel great
under
now.
control.
I'm good.
I was like, everything's fine.
Yes. And I didn't believe her. She kept saying, everything's fine. And I didn't believe her because I'm like, I don't know that. But then she sent me the email and I was like, oh, yeah, everything's fine.
Our code word.
You were right.
Intuitive, Chelsea. Good at.
Our code word is going to be, you're making my eye twitch, Liz.
Yes. Yes. And so it was just like, she knew exactly what was happening. And I wouldn't have said it, but then as soon as she said it, I was like, oh yeah, it's because I just don't know what's going on. But then she also knew what to do. She's like, I'll just send you an email with everything that's happening. I was like,
you're a visual person.
Yeah.
I love it.
I know.
We had one of those moments. Oh gosh. I can relate. I'm giggling and I'm sure I see Heidi smiling because she's like, oh, that sounds interesting and familiar. But it is, I got it. All work.
Yes.
I have a myriad of things, tasks that range from strategic and large to really small, insignificant.
Yes.
But my brain can't actually pull them apart right now. And it feels like an overwhelming mountain of to-dos. And there's no place where things are documented.
Yeah.
I love a plan. I love a list.
Yes.
I have never met a list that I didn't like. I am just like, let's do it. And so once I have those things down, and ultimately Heidi's like, that's not how I operate, but I know it's how you operate. And it doesn't hurt me to do this. It's just, I don't need it, but I know it's necessary for you. I think that is a really good example of how one partner can support the other and knowing what they might need to be successful. And I think those are the give and takes that create those lasting partnerships.
I was going to say it's the give and take. And I've done emergenetics, so I don't know if you've done that. And Katie is almost 100% focused and I'm almost 100% adaptable. So we keep saying, you work on this, I'll work on this, and we'll meet in the middle. It really... It helps. So give and take.
That's amazing. I love it.
But I can operate within your plan. So it's usually
if this is what you need, and I'm like, yes. And focus, by the way, is a really kind way of saying stubborn.
No.
On a position. Type A is definitely but it's focused. And like you said, I think it's that information that you know about yourself can really help to tell your business partner or other people in relationships in your life a little bit more into how you think, how you behave, just all their preferences, because then it's like, oh, that makes sense. And I think that's really freeing for everybody.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's completely accurate, because my boyfriend is very teen, needs to know a plan, low adaptability, as Andrew would say, as we would say about Andrew and Ryan, low adaptability.
Yes.
And so when we go on vacations, I'm like, can we just wing the last few days? And he's like, absolutely
Katie.
Not. But he knows better. He's like, okay,
I'm going to do a little secret research on the back end.
Sure, we can wing it while I plan it, and you just pretend like you're winging it.
I love it. That's amazing.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit here, because I did want to ask you guys, you are both executives, CEO and CMO of your old agency, which was significantly larger than your current business, which is a group of two. It's two Hawks and Katie. Your other agency had a lot of employees, like 40 or something like that. And you guys were running that agency. There were other executives on your team and stuff, but it was, that was the two of you. Tell us, what are some of the big main highlights of things that were different? What really took you by surprise that you were not expecting? That you were like, oh, this is different, or a way bigger challenge, or even this is way cooler than I thought it would be,
Oh, great question. Heidi, go for it.
Okay.
I think one of the really cool things, and this was always our vision, our desire, is just, doing it on our own and having the two of us, and then being able to partner with smart people gives us the freedom to really do things the way we want to do it, and do it in a way that aligns with our values and we want for our careers and what we want for our families. And so that was always a vision, but I would say just over the last couple of years, we're like, yes, this feels good. It feels right. And that has been super rewarding and just like what we were meant to do and doing it. So for me, that was like a cool thing that we put out there and happening. So that's been super fun.
Oh, let me think. There's so many things that are in my brain right now. I think a couple things that stand out is while we don't have a team that is directly responsible to us, through our fractional CMO service offering, we've had the opportunity to still help employee development and coaching, which has been really cool coming in from the outside and completely having a different perspective. And I think that outsider's perspective paired with our experience of employee management, engagement, HR, rewarding for us and really valuable for our clients and those team members. Because of our different skill sets and the ways that we see and approach problem solving, I think we've had some really wins when it comes to being able to still have that as part of our lives, but without any direct employees.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's been a cool surprise has been just the level of integration and access that we have with our clients. It has just been very cool to sit around the table with their boards and the senior leadership teams and the executive leadership teams and having access to all their data and all of the things that, we're always hoping for.
Yeah.
We were on the agency side, but now when you are being hired as a consultant and coming in, I'm not quite sure why it is different, but it definitely is. We have a very different seat at the table, and it's just been very cool. And the amount of data and access again across that value stream has allowed Heidi and I to craft strategies for these teams from a marketing standpoint that one, they can actually implement in-house, right? Like is taking their resources into consideration because we're working with companies that are publicly traded enterprise clients, first year startup phase.
Yeah.
Their resources, their bandwidth, their budgets are all very different. But when you have access and visibility into those key metrics and team members, we're able to really do some things that I think we could have only dreamed of doing previously, to be honest. And so that has been incredibly rewarding. And the impact that we've had on the teams, just getting that unsolicited feedback is just like, oh, this is why we did what we did. This is why we started Two Hawks. And so that has been incredibly rewarding.
Super interesting. Do you think it's because you coming from an unbiased place, you guys feel like you needed to create that separation in order to elevate to where you needed to be personally and from a business standpoint?
Well, I think some of what we were starting to see is a need for an agency, but what we started to observe is just our clients were wanting to partner with us in different ways and their needs were evolving. And so Katie and I are really good at just observing and being able to identify what people's personal needs are or what their business needs are. And that's where we just saw, a unique opportunity to do our own thing and to do it in a new way that allows us the flexibility to with them on different levels, whether it's, fractional CMO, or we're seeing a lot of demand for training internal teams coming in and working with internal teams or different cohorts or companies, all the way to online training to or online courses for developing marketing talent. That's part of that is just the shift of where we saw clients' needs going.
Was Two Hawks a huge leap, or was it kind of a gradual thing?
Good question.
That's a good one.
I'd say huge leap, but Heidi, I don't know. Is that how you?
That's how I would describe it. Yeah. As
left
far as I could tell. Yeah.
We started our own company, and I think say it's a leap because it was a leap of faith. We left our previous gig and said, we're not sure what's next, but we believe in our partnership. We know that we have the skills necessary to do great work. And we are able to make meaningful connections with, in the community and beyond. And so we're not sure what this is going to look like, but we just trust that everything's going to come together. And so in our first year, our MO was we're going to say yes to any project that came our way that felt like it was a good fit for us and it was going to be work for the client. And so six were all over the board. And that was a-okay with us because we were in complete learning mode. What is working for us? How do we want to work? What are some of the things that we find don't really work so well for our model and just the way that we approach projects? And so it was all about learning. The second year was all about now then taking some of those learnings and refining. And now 2024 will be our third year of business, and it's another point of evolution. And so this next year is getting even more clear on what we're going to do. And so it aligns with our strengths and also what we're hearing from people in the marketplace, our clients, like, want more of you. Okay, how do we do that? We're two people need and want to skill up our internal teams and want to bring other talent alongside those teams in different capacities. So that's where in this next year, we're really focusing on online courses, we're focusing on team training, and we're focusing on fractional CMO services. And it's going to be another learn and grow year. We're going to learn, we're going to get feedback, we're going to refine. And so we know we haven't yet completely identified what the service set and all of those specifics look like, but that's what's exciting. And I think really aligns with our learning culture and our ability to continue to think and grow and see what might be next, and also to see what might be missing. It's really easy to look at the cool new shiny object, right, and get really distracted. You just need to come back to basics. Sometimes focusing on knowing who your target audience is the answer. It's not the sexy answer. It's not the sexy thing, but it is the thing that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I laughed because you said went right in, like it's the quick, quick, and I was like, the decision to leave, yes, but in terms of like, really took the first 3 months and said, you didn't have any clients, we didn't have employees, it was just the two of us. And I was talking about earlier with the self-awareness and understanding us, really sat down and said, like, what do we want and what do we value, and how that we have this opportunity to build something that on a run and that we own. We do it in a really intentional way. And so in that sense, I was thinking of like, it was the slow buildup. We just wanted to have enough space to, and to really think about that. And then learned through so much through that.
Yeah. One of the things that I find super interesting about this, there's a lot of people out there who are working their hour-a-week jobs, right? And they want to take the big leap and go run their own business and go be an entrepreneur and stuff. They have 4 kids and a mortgage and are 20 years into a career and all this stuff. And so there's a lot of, right? And it's super scary and all these things. I know you both have children. I know you both have a lot of those same barriers. I'd love if you guys could talk about how you were able to overcome some of those fears, some of those, like barriers, and were there things that you really did have to sacrifice? Didn't? There are things that you were like, nope, I was totally fine. My husband is my sugar daddy. And, just talk about some of those, that like big leap that you took. Because you're right. For me, didn't have any clients when you first came out. Yeah.
I think part of that is like, you gotta address the fears. Straight on. I mean, we worked through a lot of that. Money was a big thing for me. I'm like, healthcare and money and like this lifestyle. And we first started, we were both like everything to probably fault. We're like, we cut everything. We're like, okay, we can do that. But you know, I think addressing that, like I worked with someone just to talk through, what is my fear around money? What is like, what do I need to do to feel secure? And a lot of that
worked with a therapist or something?
Yeah, more like a coach, business coach, personal coach, just working through that. And I was part of that conversation. So again, she knew what I was coming from and what I wanted. And then that's a great conversation to have with my husband. So it's like kind of teamwork all around. But for me, it was like really addressing those fears. And there's always imposter syndrome. Like, I think we can do this. And then set goals for ourselves and them in the first year. And so when you look at it from that perspective, we just said, I don't know. We're both very intuitive too. So we trust our gut. Like I just knew it was what we needed to do. So once I did it, looked back, best decision.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. And I don't want to put words in Heidi's mouth, but I think she'll be okay with me saying this on her behalf too. A lot of privilege on both of our ends, right? Like we had a lot of amazing opportunities our past. I think the key was really getting clear on, again, what we wanted to do and what we thought we can do. And I think because we know each other's work ethic and drive and that intuitive gut feeling, like we can make this happen. But I also set a limitation. I told Heidi and I told my husband, I said, we're going to give this our best go. And if we struggle for 2 consecutive years out of the gate, that's when we need to pause and be willing to have a very real conversation with one another to see, is this still the path we're going to go down? And so it was a little bit of a stopgap, at least setting that expectation that could be a thing. And that would never be the road that we needed to really go down. But I needed to have that conversation with Heidi. I needed to know that for myself, like as far as am I willing to take this? And then also make sure too, my husband was okay with that. And, very fortunate to have a 2-household income at a point, too, where it didn't feel like we were putting those needs in jeopardy. So that also gave me a lot of confidence to be able to take the step, and know that I was being supported on that end. And not only just in that career, but like Heidi said, having that support of your partner and your person to say, got this. And I always saw more for you. And I know that this is something that you're going to be able to do. It's just like, how high are you going to take it? How far are you going to go? When you just have a lot of people around you that are supporting you and believe in you and validating, this is scary. This is really scary. You can do it. And then you also know that a lot easier to take the steps to make a change and say, like, invest in us. So like I said, best decision, no regrets. And
no regrets.
No regrets. And I do encourage anybody that is in that situation just to say, how might you, be able to take the next best step for you in those situations? A dual on household. So both myself and my husband, we all run our own businesses,
same
right?
Here.
So I think in the way we both started our businesses were very different. Justin really moonlighted, helping kind of his business on the side. He had a full-time job. And there's many different ways to take the next step. If that inner voice is saying like something more, the way we did it isn't the right way for everybody. And are a lot of people out here, I'd say myself and Heidi, and I'm sure you, Chelsea and Liz, counted among those people that are here to help encourage and mentor anybody that is interested in taking that step and saying, we're a safe place to talk about where, how, and give you all the high fives and good vibes along that journey. So,
you mentioned kids. So I have 3 teenagers, and I was nervous to tell them that I quit. All they've ever known is what I used to do, and so I remember sitting down and telling them, and their action was like, "That's so badass! You're gonna do great, Mom."
Aww.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's just like,
that's a chills moment, Heidi.
I love that.
There you
Seriously.
go.
Like your teenagers are saying that. That's like a win on every level.
I was like, well, we might have to come back a little bit. I'm like, this is great.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
It was a good moment.
And she's
That's
like, there
so
goes
cool.
Netflix. There
Yeah.
goes.
Then I'm like, okay, have that back.
Yeah. But maybe not your college fund, so we'll see. No, that's great.
Oh,
That's
fun.
so
That,
cool.
that
I
alone
love
is
it.
a boarding point. So like,
Yeah.
if you want to do it, like have the courage to do it.
Yeah.
And believe in yourself. So that's the
Yeah.
other big one.
Yeah. Love it. That's amazing. That's so cool. Gosh. Well, thank you guys so much for being on here and telling your story and talking all about this. It's been really cool.
It's been so much fun having you guys.
Yeah. It's been good.
Well,
Thank
we're
you.
awesome.
We're both fabulous and women that inspire us. So,
Same.
and that we're partnering with. So you're fabulous.
Yeah.
I love this conversation, but
Yeah.
like a Liz, we got to wrap up. I always have to cut her off, but
That's true. She does.
but as we're wrapping up, great to speak with you guys. If listening, if you like this podcast, like, follow, I'm going to reach out to us. Our email is show@agency. Anyone interested in getting to know you guys a bit more or your business?
Yes, our website, you can find Two Hawks at www.thetwohawks.com. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn at The Two Hawks.
Okay. Awesome.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.